Hello, guys. Welcome to the Sound of Manchester. We are here back with a new season. We are here in the 2020-2021 season. Things have changed, yet they've remained the same for Manchester United. Most of us fans are a living joke for this club, and they've been playing with our feelings better than they play with footballs on the field. So, if I were to start this intro, I'd go on a rant, and I'd leave that to Anurag and Prathamesh for now because I'm sure they'll circle back to me, but. I'll start with Anurag first. Hey man, how are you doing? And I hope you've been keeping well in this pandemic. Hope things are good at home as well.
Yeah, everything is pretty much good, but just like there hasn't gone one single day when I open Twitter and search Sancho, the keyword.
Yeah. So I was about to come to that.
One day, literally. I mean, yeah, that is basically what what I've been doing, especially ever since the transfer window opened or the 10 days prior to that. Ever since the day we sat together last time discussing the Leicester City Manchester United game where I think you were the one who said, now there is no way we are not going to get Sancho. We are going to get Sancho. And that from that day till this day, there hasn't gone a day where I did not open Twitter and search the keyword Sancho. And that pretty much sums up what I have been feeling or everyone else has been feeling. And that pretty much sums up every Manchester United fan. And what if you look at all the top tier journalists right now, I mean, let's say Fabrizio Romano has been covering this quite extensively right from the outset. He says there was no bid submitted from Manchester United before August of 10th. Dortmund, if our fans have forgotten, they actually set a deadline on August 10th because they didn't want their pre-season training to get disturbed. And if Jadon Sancho was about to leave, it would have been better for them if he had left before August of 10th. And that's what they tried to do, and that was very clear. And after that, we very well remember Michael Zorc, Dortmund, the PR team. They just kept posting Sancho is staying and stuff like that, which they are known to do. Still, we kept our hopes up high because we know the Dortmund have a history of not living up to their word. If it was some other club, irrelevant. If they say the player is staying, it means the player is staying. No price tag can get him away from the club. He is not for sale. That is not the case with Dortmund, and we have seen it over the years. And my goodness, every day, dude, every day we've been watching so many stories. And just I think a few days back, we saw a story saying the agent fee has all been agreed, and there has been some sort of the impasse has been broken or something like that. And now again, it is back to normal. Oh, goodness me, it is very, very frustrating. And Sancho played really well in the other game. I think in the DFB Pokal Cup just yesterday, a 5-0 win, and he assisted two times or once. I don't remember. He
He
assisted to Royce.
assisted.
I saw that goal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that goal. I don't remember the others, but yeah, he scored a
he
penalty.
scored a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really looking solid, and a lot of people who said he put on a little weight right after the lockdown. He is looking back at his absolute best. No, I don't know. I just hope.
Yeah, man. So
Uh,
yeah, so
Unfortunately, man.
I would say I guess I jinxed it if I called it
Yeah,
last
you
season.
did.
I guess now I jinxed it.
You did,
Yeah.
man. You did, man. You jinxed it, and
Yeah.
I have not
The
even,
Glazers board doing all
opened.
the. Yeah, this is the Glazers board doing it. Eventually, we are blaming ourselves, saying we jinxed it.
Yeah, no,
Come
no.
on, man.
I'm going to still blame Kushagra that he jinxed it. All jokes aside, Anurag, I even haven't opened Twitter, Facebook, Google, anything to search for the keyword of Sancho. I've just been following your Facebook, and every day that's a false hope for me. So I'm going to blame a little bit of you as well. But yeah, I think you expected it, didn't you? 120
Honestly,
million
I'll just tell
transfer.
you one more thing. One more thing. I still think Sancho is
Yeah,
going to sign. I'm pretty confident he's going to sign because I think the board is really see one thing. The only confidence that I have is see one confidence that I have is I think they do realize in the scenario of Sancho not coming by the October the 5th, they realize what's going to happen. I think how bad it.
yeah.
I think everyone does realize even. By the stupidity of our current owners, I think they are not that stupid as what I'm hoping, but they can always raise the bars there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kushagra, we forgot one thing. Optimism is spelled as Anuraag. So I guess it's okay that he's feeling that way. It's okay that he feels Sancho will sign for Manchester United. Sancho might sign somewhere, but he might sign a new contract at Dortmund. So, even that can be a very realistic scenario. But yeah, I think the board has really frustrated us. It has been doing that since God knows, I don't know, Ronaldo. So I guess it's been in every summer scenario where we should have made our team better, but we haven't. And the signings which we have actually made, we have put some money on players who have been good in the past, like Di Maria, like the Falcao loan situation. We have got a lot of players who have been proven good. They haven't really played well at United as well. To add to all that misery,
Did
but
they ever want to come to United in the first place?
yeah, I think they came for the money or whatever they came for. But I think at the end of the day, we are sitting here. We are just gonna, frustrate ourselves. But I just feel laughing at what the club is doing right now. I mean, if you are the globally most, I don't know what they call it, attractive, or one of the most beautiful clubs to be a part of, family-rich history club, but you can't sign a player who is of that caliber. It says a lot. But again, there are a couple of more clubs like us who are in the same bracket right now. We're not
Yeah.
able to sign players, so we share our little bit of feelings with our rival club from Merseyside. But their owners are shit, our owners are shit, and I think at the end of the day, we just have to make sure that we keep ourselves motivated to see what is going to happen this season. But we did sign Van de Beek, and Van de Beek is a real interesting signing. I think all three of us, really wanted him to come to the club. He was 40 million waiting to be signed. He is signed, so that is a little bit of positivity. But otherwise, I think we go with what we have right now, and we go on this weekend hoping that what we have is good enough for the rest of the season. Or if we do sign anyone, then that's Almighty's grace.
Yeah, I just adding to another point. You just said this is every season's case. I don't think this is every season's case. I think this is a different season. This is the first time we are actually entering the season considering the team has actually okay done well. I can't remember the last time. United did finish second under Jose Mourinho, but there was no real satisfaction there. I don't think anyone in any Manchester United fan with half footballing sense was actually satisfied with that second position. People are actually more satisfied with this third position finish than that one, to be very honest. And that's where, when there is momentum, the first time we are actually entering a season with great momentum, bringing in more players. I think literally Jadon Sancho and perhaps another signing. I think I'm not even kidding. I think we could have been really contending for the title. I've had Jadon Sancho come in before, and another good defensive signing. And again, Donny Van de Beek came in, great signing. Absolutely no question over there. But again, he's not going to be a regular starter. Easy. Sergio Reguilon, apparently that deal also is also on the verge of being off. Even if he's coming, let's say that guy is, you don't know if he's going to be a starter. How long we are going to be signing promising players?
Yeah, so I've been kind. I've given you guys both of your time.
Yeah,
And I think
your floor.
this is a topic I think everyone must have this say.
Yeah,
But
true.
now since we have circled back to me, I guess you guys have to suffer me. So yeah, I'll just start with a little story that I'll tell you guys. 2005, Sir Alex is pissed off with a few of the current owners of United because he had an issue with a horse that was gifted to him, and apparently the horse was gifted by a United board member. The horse had kids. The United board member claimed royalty over the sperm of the steed, and Sir Alex did not like that. So the owner wanted the pony to be given to the owner. The board member wanted the pony to be given to him. Sir Alex did, and that's where the seeds of doubt were sown. This is 2001. Circle back to 2005. Sky wanted to buy United. Fox were after buying United, and both the deals were turned down by who? A board influenced by Sir Alex. Who comes in? Our banker Ed Woodward helps the Glazers broker a deal. Manchester United is bought on debt, and since 2005, Manchester United remains in debt. Figures came out. If you guys, you must have seen my story yesterday. If any of you would seen my story yesterday, or For those who didn't, I'll just tell you, United is the worst run club in the world. And without a shadow of a doubt, United is the financially worst run club in the world. It is a business that runs on debt and only runs to actually end up paying dividends for its owners and to facilitate loans for its owners. When the owners are trying to expand into new cities, they're trying to make new stadiums. Glazers are trying to get a new stadium in for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're trying to push through their own plans. It's just the same like Arsenal, right? What Stan Kroenke is doing. But at least Stan Kroenke doesn't take money out of the club. These fuckers take money out of the club. And I'm sorry, I'll probably just lose my ragger here, but this is what's happening every year. This is what happens. So Manchester United, we had this discussion, and these figures are 2 years old. Since till 2018, from 2010, in those 8 years, 1.4 billion were taken out of United. 1.6 billion were pumped into City. Do you guys see the difference? The 3 billion swing, right? How do you manage to compete on that same scale? You cannot. And it's about Sancho. This penny pinching, we did this video in, I think, May or June, when a bloody loan was taken out of the club.
Yeah.
A loan. I think I remember talking about it on camera on this very channel in one of our earlier episodes. Money was taken out of this club. Money was given to the club. Money is taken out every year from this club to the tune of 89 to 90 million pounds that are taken out every year. A Paul Pogba is taken out of every year. You pay that amount upfront, Sancho comes tomorrow. You give them 80 million. Tell them we'll give you the rest 38 million, or sorry, 28 million in add-ons or in staggered payments, whatever. Right? Sancho comes tomorrow. But no. Now what is happening? You're waiting on deals. You're waiting to sell Rojo. You're waiting to sell Smalling. You're waiting to get people off your wages. Waiting to get Romero out. Maybe Lingard, Pereira, Mata, one of those three out. You're waiting for all that, and because you're waiting, you end up looking like an absolute fool. Okay, so as far as I know, a bid actually did go in. A bid went in, but Ed Woodward went back to renegotiate that bid when a bid was accepted by Dortmund, because Ed Woodward did not get the clearance at the last moment to actually put that amount of money lump sum as a payment in one go. And that is where the whole thing went tits up. It just got fucked. And I'm sorry, I mean, you cannot run a business like that. It's like if I have a grocery shop, if I'm selling a packet of biscuits for $10, you can't come there and offer me $5 and a cap of a soft drink and say, okay, bro, let's do it. You cannot. If it's $10, it's $10. I don't fucking get it, bro. Have you ever gone to fucking Pizza Hut and gotten your pizza for $100, which was $400? Or told them, no, I will pay you in 4 weeks. You give me 4 slices today, I'll take 4 slices after 1 week, and then I'll take 4 slices the week after. I mean, I don't know what these guys are playing at. The club in West London, they're going to buy a new keeper. They spent over 250 million.
My goodness.
They do not even make half as much as United. They don't.
Mukesh Ambani, if you're listening.
So I mean, I cannot believe, and this franchise, this club has the most fans in the world. It has.
I think if we chip in with a pound, we can buy the club. Every one of us, if all the fans in the world chip in, we can actually buy.
I don't know, man. I mean, do you realize how much money that would need? It needs 4.5-5 billion pounds. There are 7 billion people on this earth. You can't get a pound from everyone. You need more. But yeah. So that's not the point. It's just traumatic. This club is owned by people who do not support the club. It's run by people who do not support the club. The accountability is of people who do not support the club. The only person who supports the club is the bloody manager, who will get sacrificed like a bakri on Bakareed.
No.
This is what's gonna happen. Halal hoga hamara banda. Aur kuch nahi hai uska. This is what it's so sad. Because after Sir Alex, this is the first guy I could truly love. It's like, okay, man, he's our guy. Whatever happens, you support him. He's just so sad because you can see it. If United get Gareth Bale, if United get Gareth Bale, we should genuinely do a video where everyone's silent, for a moment of silence for Solskjaer, because that will be the final nail in his coffin.
My God, man. I can't believe that we're trying for a 31-year-old Gareth Bale as even an option. But anyway, this is a huge one. But I think this is what every Manchester United fan feels so many ways. It's like a torture every day to wake up and keep believing in your club, keep supporting your club. But I really do not want to say this, but we are going on the lines of Leeds United in 2001. So that is where we are heading. That is where I think we might grow old watching a team at the championship. That is the way this club is being run right now. So
I don't know. So that's the thing, right? So it's like a poison chalice. They'll keep the club afloat. They'll make sure enough finances are there that the club is there or thereabouts. It's there in the top 6 or top 8. They'll ensure that they get their yearly dividends of 90 million pounds every year, so that they can keep making profits on this club. Their initial investment did not cross more than 150 million pounds, and see the value of the asset that they own today. It's more than 3 billion pounds. So, I mean, I don't really think it is the best investment made in the history of investment. It's like buying Apple's share before they were Apple's shares. Really, it really is. I mean, who has ever seen a 20-fold increase in their investment in 15 years? Who has ever seen that?
Wonder.
Not in sport, probably. So I think let's switch our attention a little bit. It's going to be traumatic the more we keep talking about it. And finally, Premier League is back for Man United, and no matter what the board does, we still have players who really want to play for the club, and it shows with the likes of Greenwood, Rashford, your Fernandes. It shows with players like these that they really want to do well for the club. So let's go to that now, and we have a really difficult start to the season in so many ways, because we start with against Crystal Palace at home. Last season, we were beaten in this fixture. Then we go to Brighton. Then we also have Jose Mourinho, who is going to come to us and say, hello, guys. Then we have another trip before Chelsea come to us with all guns blazing and saying, okay, you guys finished one position above us on goal difference. But what we did? We spent 200 million and we got a better team than you. So that is how we start our season in the Premier League. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. And Anurag, would you like to open and say, what do you think?
I think one of the reasons why we feel all the more salty this transfer window is it's not just our lack of interest, it's the way Chelsea went about their things as well. And I've noticed a lot of Chelsea fans crying over the fact that Kai Havertz's deal went way too late. Really? You call that late? Oh my God, these kids! I say, you have no idea what is late. You have absolutely no idea what is late in transfer windows, in big transfer. So yeah, as you said, I think the fixtures that you mentioned. Crystal Palace won their first game against Southampton, a very very well-marshaled Southampton team, and Crystal Palace looked really strong on that day. I think they did well, and then we also go to Brighton, another fabulously marshaled side. I think. Honestly, if their front three was a little more lethal, Brighton would have scored 5 against Chelsea. They were that good that day. They were really, really good. I think Chelsea, I mean, they managed to keep possession of a team which had such great individual quality. Maybe Lampard was a little reluctant in terms of keeping possession as well, maybe. But even Brighton, they just robbed them of possession every time. The midfield was so strong. The passing is so good. The ball movement, the forward movement is so good. These are the teams that we are going to be up against, and just in terms of morale, they are way ahead of all of us. They are way ahead. I think just in terms of morale, I think we'd be in the relegation zone.
Yeah, right, and agreed. It's not just that. It's also the very fact that they've had time to bed in all of their signings, but Havertz maybe. But exactly. You saw that yesterday. Yes, they weren't fluent, but they will get better. They will get better, and they will have people like. So even yesterday, Pulisic, Ziyech, and Thiago Silva did not play. So
Indeed.
they have people coming into the team, and they have the keeper coming in as well. So as far as that is concerned, Pratmesh, do you see Solskjaer going away from the lineup that he was trying out towards the end of the season? Do you see the similar starting 11 starting this match? Considering just the match is just this weekend, we're definitely not getting any new signings playing for us before that, apart from Van de Beek, who might start. So, what is it? What is your 11 going to be?
I think we might keep the same team, but we might see Van de Beek instead of Matic, because I think they will keep those three will keep floating rather. Pogba, Fernandes, and Van de Beek. I think all of them have really decent work rate as well. So I don't think, as you said, the job of the holding midfielder now is slightly evolving. You just can't be someone who's sitting in front of the back four and playing the game that way. So I think United will be a little bit more mobile with those three. Back four again, the same that Ole has been playing all this while. He prefers Shaw and Maguire, Lindelof, and Van der Saka. De Gea is in doubt to start because of a few nickels. So we might finally see Dean Henderson making his United debut. And obviously, he likes the look of Rashford, Greenwood, and Martial. All this transfer window aside, even the team which we have on the pitch is a really good one. The starting 11 is a really good one. So, we can keep a little bit of hope there. We do not really have a potent bench. You look at the likes of Fred and McTominay and Igalo and Mata, Pereira. These are the kind of players you have on bench who are probably not even, some of them are not reaching their potential. Some of them are beyond past their potential. So that is where I think we have one of the worst bench strengths in the entire Premier League, I feel. So that is going to be a little worry, but I think our starting 11 is decent, and that's what I think that Ole has to stick with. He doesn't have an option, right?
Yeah, I think pretty much spot on with what pretty much agree with what he said, but I still have a feeling Matic will start ahead of Donny van de Beek, and Donny van de Beek will start on the bench for this game. I think that could be the right thing to do, because I think that 11 that Solskjaer found right after the lockdown, I think that is one of the best 11s that we ever planted since Sir Alex Ferguson, and that 11 really did a good job. They uh, time and again kept making attacks, and even Matic sometimes, you remember, I don't know which game was it, that counter attack goal which Bruno
Yeah,
Fernandes
Brighton.
smashed it in. It
Yeah,
was against
Brighton.
Brighton. I think
Brighton.
that pass.
Yeah, the pass by Matic.
He's capable of that as well. So I think he's had enough rest. So let's hope Matic starts. He didn't even start in the Sevilla game, so I think Matic could be a good. I think could be a good option to start. So I'm going with that 11 which started against Tottenham, right? No, against not Tottenham. I think the
I
one
think
against
next one,
Bournemouth,
Sheffield.
Southampton. Yeah,
Bournemouth. I would say
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
yeah, Bournemouth. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one. I think that should
Yeah.
be
All
good.
right. All right.
Yeah, and I think
Oh,
Matic will be already tired taking Johnny Evans out of his grave. But still, that's fine. You remember that podcast that he had with Helena Evans, where he said,
yeah.
thank you to Johnny. I think he's done with all that now, so he can play football.
Yeah. Yeah. I think beyond that, as far as the 11 is concerned, I agree with you, Pratmesh. I don't think Solskjaer has much of a choice, because I don't think United have done anything in the summer to give him any choice. As far as Van de Beek is concerned, I felt United really missed Matic in the Sevilla match. I think starting Fred, though Fred did not play bad at all, Fred was actually pretty good. I
Yeah.
still felt starting Fred was the wrong decision, because I think Matic brings something different. Like the confidence Matic instills in the defense is entirely different as compared to any other player there. So I think that really makes a big difference mentally. As far as the defense is concerned, again, man, like Harry Maguire did not look good at all against Aston Villa. Marcus Rashford did not look good at all against Aston Villa. A couple of other kids, Odion Igalo looked terrible against Aston Villa. But again, Odion Igalo is not going to start, and all these others, we don't really know how well they're going to do and how well they're not going to do. And then again, they weren't playing with their usual partners, so it can make a difference. It can definitely make a difference. So I feel that he'll probably go with the Bournemouth lineup, which would be And yeah, if I did not know about the De Gea niggle because I don't think I read it anywhere. But if he has a niggle, it'll be interesting to see Henderson in goal. So I guess Henderson in goal.
Dean Henderson starting, I think that
Yeah.
would be a bad thing.
Yeah, Henderson in goal, Van
Yeah.
Bissaka on the right, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Matic, Bruno, Pogba, and of course Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood. So yeah, not got much of a choice there, but it should be enough for Crystal Palace. But will it be? Because we supposedly had a decent team last year as well against them, and we defeated Chelsea and then gone away to Wolves and drawn and all, and we still lost. Remember that stupid loss at the end, Patrick Van Aanholt. So yeah, but yeah, not in a great mood, guys. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in. We'll keep doing these transfer updates. I hope to God that they end. I cannot wait for October so that at least I can have part of my sanity back. I've got no hopes from this club. But let's hope Crystal Palace match isn't something that we have to do a ranting post-match video as well for. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Before we go, your predictions, guys. I mean, I'm just so pissed off with United couldn't care. So, your predictions, guys?
I'm going with a 2-0.
Me? Oh, yeah.
Both of you.
I think 2-0 is fine. I think 2-0 would be more than good. I think that's bare minimum. I think we finished on a good note last season, so I think I'm expecting 2-0.
The way our transfer window has gone, the mood that we are all in, Bruno Fernandes missing a penalty, Pogba getting a red card, Henderson making a mistake to concede a goal, Van Bissaka forgetting how to tackle. All these things, that is the kind of mood we are in.
Just lost 50 subscribers there. We just lost 50 subscribers there.
Like TV
we lost subscribers, but
yeah.
TV todvaenge. But yeah, I guess all that negativity aside, and that is what the window has done. But our players still look fresh, they look positive, and Ole is Ole. So he will be waiting to. That is what he loves the club. So that he's going to be raring to go. So for me, I think Palace will be a tough nut to crack because they're defensively record as well in the auction. So I'm going for a 1-0 victory for United. I'm not really expecting a lot of firepower in the first game itself. Even though it's like Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, it's a fantastic combination. Let us not forget they scored more than Firmino, Mane, and Salah last season. So they are a firepower in themselves. So 1-0 though, I hope those 4 mistakes that I mentioned do not happen. But let them break my head for it and not your own TV so that we win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going for a reverse of the result last year because I got no faith in this defense to keep a clean sheet. So going for a 2-1, hopeful 2-1 for United. Let's see how that goes. But once again, guys, getting back to it, thank you so much, Anurag and Prathamesh, for joining me here. And thank you so much to everyone who's watched the video. Please do like and subscribe. Do share this video amongst your friends. Do not pass on the negativity. Try to pass on the positivity. Unfortunately, do not rely on United for that positivity. What my mantra for life would be. So, thank you once again, guys. Keep it locked. The Sound of Manchester.